Are you tired of always being ganked, not on time for objectives, or failing to play out your lead? Then let's deal with that and talk about tempo. But first, what is tempo? Let's go with a definition of mine first, and then let's discuss details immediately after. Tempo describes a balancing act between resources earned, spent, and put back onto the map in the form of you taking away enemy resources or enemy access to resources, positioning, or to make plays that the enemy is forced to respond to, but can't or loses something as they try to. Let's give you an example. You have just killed your enemy laners and your first item spike is 900 gold and you have 900 gold in your inventory. You're now presented with the choice of going for plates or to recall. What happens if you stay for plates? You might get ganked or collapsed on. Your recalls might be delayed and you won't be able to find a reset. So why does this matter? Gold in your inventory are not combat stats and you need to spend it first to gain an advantage. So even if the enemy has 1000 gold less than you, but they were able to shop and replenish their HP and mana, they're in fact stronger than you even though they have less gold. So while we are going for platings or any play, you have to ask yourself the following. Is the gold I'm gaining right now relevant or is it just luxury gold? For that, let's go back to the 900 gold in your inventory, which is enough for a spike that is massively going to impact the lane. For example, completed boots. Staying for platings will obviously net you more gold, but what happens next? You stay longer, you gain more gold, but the gold isn't relevant for the item spike, so it doesn't make you stronger immediately. However, it gives the enemy an opportunity to return to lane, maybe delay your reset and even kill you as you didn't replenish resources nor were you able to spend your gold. This way, a lead can be turned into a disadvantage instantly due to the pointless greed over gold that doesn't even matter. To make your decision a bit easier though, you can use another trick. Pay attention to the minion wave leaving your base. This wave will be mirrored on the enemy side and with that info you can always know where the wave is. Thanks to that, you can then decide if the enemy even has the opportunity to use this next incoming wave to punish you or if you have enough time to maybe sneak a plate and then leave. Therefore, we have the first actionable advice. Learn about the gold values of your item spikes and pay close attention to them. Don't overstay for gold that is not relevant while the enemy comes back with a minor item advantage and a massive resource advantage. The enemy will then take advantage over your delayed resets or potential deaths and get a lot more gold from waves and platings because you chose to stay for another wave or plate that wasn't relevant and took too long to take down. This entire concept also applies to objectives. Imagine you just won a teamfight at Herald and the enemy respawn timers are super low. All your vital cooldowns are down and you have a bunch of gold in your inventory. Do you believe it's a good idea to just mindlessly charge into the dragon under the assumption that you are stronger because you've just won a close teamfight at Herald? No. You just have to be careful. The respawned enemy returns with full mana and HP, plus the gold spent to a potential dragon fight, whereas you or some members of your team are very low on HP and mana and didn't spend their gold yet. So what do you think are the odds of you winning this fight? And what are the consequences of dying for that stupid lizard? First, you will lose the dragon buff, potentially multiple lives as well as waves, platings, and completely negating the massive advantage you got from Herald. How did this happen though? You deliberately tried achieving something incredibly difficult as your team was off tempo and the enemy team was on tempo. But wait, how do we get to objectives in the first place? And is it always the jungler's fault if you don't get an objective? I see it too many times and too many people are crying permanently about junglers not getting objectives. But coincidentally, their teammates are already 0-4 and weirdly enough die 5 seconds before the objective spawns. So what could possibly happen? You will very likely lose the objective and are forced to trade due to your teammates inting before an objective. That much is pretty much clear. And why does this happen? Most likely thanks to the choices that stem from pointless greed putting them off tempo and making them very vulnerable. But what is an example of making yourself vulnerable? Most of the jungle champions clear from red side to their blue side. As a laner, you can pretty much expect this in many scenarios and play around it. Both Baron and Dragon lane can slow push waves 1 and 2 to then crash wave 3 into the enemy tower to then reset for tempo, depending on their champions of course. That way they'll avoid getting ganked on that 3rd or 4th wave, which is close to the typical timer of an enemy jungle hovering around that side. The wave will then bounce back and since you're full HP you can sit back and wait till the wave comes to you as you've just recalled and walk back to lane. But here comes the real kicker. Pushing 3 waves and getting 1 plate means you get upgraded boots. Pushing 3 waves and getting 0 plates means you get no upgraded boots. Pushing 4 waves and getting 0 plates means you get upgraded boots. On red side, you're often allowed to easily go for 4 waves, but on blue side it's often a lot more risky to get the 4th wave or a plate unless you really hard stomp the enemy early on. However, even if you are forced to recall and can only purchase tier 1 boots or another longsword, you're doing something very important. You're removing options from the enemy jungle while keeping your own tempo in a sense of spending resources and allowing yourself to play the map. For extra added security, you can obviously place down vision in between waves depending on how much pressure you can exude, which then allows you to stay for a bigger spike while lowering the risk tremendously. So how can I summarize all of this in a very simple yet actionable way? Again, learn about how much gold you need for items, familiarize yourself with the speed of which champions traverse the map, and think ahead when it comes to denying enemy resources. An enemy who is stuck on the tower with a wave can't do much. A jungler who has no available play has to either flip it or wait for his camps to respawn. A team who has spent all their sums and ultimates 30 seconds before the first herald or dragon is most likely a lot weaker than a team that lost a skirmish before but kept all their cooldowns. But there's one last thing we really need to talk about. Position is sometimes way more important than an item spike. Being in a position to defend, start or deny an objective ahead of time, meaning preparing vision and potentially setting traps, allows you to skew the odds in your favor. Enemies do not magically have vision on everything, and neither do you, which means that someone has to actually get vision. If your team has the vision prepared earlier, you can set traps and ambush enemies and skew the odds in your favor with minimal cooldown and resource investment. This concept becomes more and more important as you gain more items, as the time to kill is drastically lowered as we hit late game. You can also utilize this concept when it comes to enemy jungle camps and having timers on them while being the stronger jungler. You can assume where they'll be due to how they cleared their jungle and then either trap them at their camps or steal them away if they try anything funny. And that is kinda it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and obviously comment for the algorithm, but there's one more thing I'm asking you to do. So I previously asked in the community tab what people want to see the most, and to see what you guys want next, I'd love you to comment what kind of guide you want to see next and what specifics you really want me to dive into. Depending on what you guys actually say in the comments, I might change the video that comes in next time, or even create an entirely new format or entirely new topic to talk about to just make it easier for you to understand WildRift from a higher level perspective that used to be pro level or world's level of play. And yeah, I hope all of this helps, and I know the word tempo is complex, but I truly hope that most of you got a little bit closer to understanding what it stands for. And again, thank you for watching, and we'll see each other for more RiftGuides content very soon. Take care.